friends. And nice to see you all here on this beautiful sunny day. Well, you know, we need the showers of blessings too, don't we? I'm going to do a little reading before Geoff does the lecture or talk. And it's by Sharon Janus from a book called Spirituality for Dummies. So you know where it's from. This whole universal creation is bigger than anybody can fashion. And guess what? So are you. In spite of the indefinable nature of the human soul, sages from spiritual traditions throughout the ages have worked hard to explore and discover what really lies inside themselves and the world around them. Although each religious tradition has its own culture, specific images and doctrines, several themes appear in many spiritual and theological theories. One common element is a belief in an invisible, divine part of you that lives on in some way even after your body takes its last breath. A spark of God that lives within you, as you. Baba Muktananda said, meditate on yourself, honor yourself and worship yourself. God dwells within you. You can think of yourselves as having two aspects, your big self and your little self. Your small self is an egocentric mass of conditioned responses and defenses, mechanisms that pulls you into illusion and keeps you from receiving the wealth of your own inheritance. Your big self is the great reservoir of eternal wisdom that's always pulling you towards liberation, freedom, goodness and divine light. It is also the self of all. You as an individual being are the juncture point between these two, as they pull your awareness, often in opposite directions. The inner effulgence of your spiritual self shines more visibly when you clear away the clouds of ignorance and delusion that block its great light. You can clear the way for more light to express through your life through meditation, contemplation, purification, and the elevated teachings from those who have gazed long and lovingly at their own shining self. And now here is the better half.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Good morning. I hope you enjoyed that reading. You know, it was talking about who are you really? There's a question, isn't it? Because we are all part of that great creative power called God. Whatever you wish to call it. Some call it God, some call it Allah, and so on and so forth. It matters not. It's just that we know that that power, that great creative energy, lies within each and every one of us, and of course in everything within this entire universe, so that you cannot be where that power is not. And so we should know exactly who we are. We are brothers and sisters within that power. And therefore in our world today, when we look around our world and we see the problems that lie in our world, where there is a lack of understanding that we are all part of that great creative power, this is where we see all the turmoil and all the problems we have in our world. Because I suppose we have more people who would rather go to a football match than come to a church. How sad is that? Very, very sad when you think about it, because they have lack of understanding of that great power that is part of them, that motivates them through this life. A wonderful power. You know, there have been many mediums over the centuries, right from Jesus right the way through to Andrew Jackson Davis, and so on. I could name them forever and ever, who brought the teachings from the higher side of life to this earth plane, so that we would then have a greater understanding of that great power that we call God. And yet, the readings and seeing, unfortunately, seem to have got lost a little, unless we come into a spiritual church or centre like this, where we, of course, understand the teachings that come from the higher side of life. Thank goodness that we do. And so it is up to us as spiritualists to take those teachings out, to touch the hearts and the lives of those we come into contact with. Not an easy thing, let me tell you. Not an easy thing, but we can at least plant a seed in the mind of friends and people that we come in contact with. It may blow away in the wind, but it may just stay in the mind for a while, and like the little oak, what am I looking for? The acorn. The acorn, yes. Oh dear, I've been away from England so long, you see. Like the little acorn grows into a big oak tree. And you see, it only takes a few people. Jesus himself was the master of all, bringing the messages from the higher side of life to those who are willing to listen to him. And of course in life, friends, we're always going to find that there are some people who are open enough to listen to what Spirit has to say, and there are going to be those who couldn't care less, because they think they've come to this earth to live a life to hurt people if they want to enjoy life without the complications, and therefore they feel there's nothing after this life. Well, I'm sad to tell them that when they move to that next level of consciousness in the world of spirit, they will get quite a shock. I wonder if you sometimes think, what must it feel like to those sort of people that say there is no God, there is nothing after this life? Must be quite a surprise for them to find that they're very much more alive in the world of spirit than when they were here on this earth plane. Because they don't have this physical body to contend with all its joys, but with all its problems. And as we get past the age of 29, we realise that those problems get worse every day. However, we do understand as spiritualists, it doesn't matter what happens to us on this earth plane, we will move from this level of consciousness to the next level of consciousness in the world of spirit when we make our demise from this life. And so when they say to you, who are you? I probably would get 100 different answers if I were to go around asking people, because they would all have their own opinions. But who are you really? You are God. For you are part of that great creative power that we call God. The birds of the sky, the fish of the sea, the animals on land, everything in this entire universe is part of that power. How fortunate are we, my friends, as spiritualists, to understand that. And sometimes I wonder when I go into churches in our own country if they really do understand, because sometimes there is more dead in the congregation than there is in the world of spirit. You see, when you're talking, nodding off. And you know, the funny thing is, sometimes I hear people say, oh, I've heard it all before, I know it all. Well, I've never in this entire lifetime heard or seen people who know it all. For we are constantly learning, constantly growing, as Jesus told us. As the mediums of the past, Andrew Jackson Davis, who brought amazing teachings from the world of spirit, when he would go into that altered state of consciousness, and people would sit with the pencil and paper and write down everything he brought through in that altered state of consciousness. What a treat that is, my friends, if you read the spiritual books and you see the knowledge that has been brought through from those from the higher side of life who've lived a life upon this earth plane, but have moved on and still continue to grow and to flourish and to learn in the higher side of life. And they put themselves out to bring their knowledge through so that we on the earth plane can gain a greater understanding of what life is truly all about. Not only life on this earth plane, but life in the higher realms in the spirit world, where we will still continue to learn, still continue to grow, except we won't have this miserable body with all its aches and pains to contend with. So is that not something to look forward to, my friends? How many people say to you, "Oh, I'm afraid of death." Why should we ever be afraid of death when we know we have something much better, greater to go to when we leave this life? And we will not have the aches and pains to contend with. But we will still have that great opportunity of learning and growing in the world of spirit. For there are halls of learning in the world of spirit, we are told from Andrew Jackson Davis, where we can choose to go and to enhance our spiritual knowledge so that we can grow spiritually in the realms of spirit. So, you know, I sometimes think to myself, when we read this reading about who are you really, if we don't know, then we have a lot of searching still to do. But I think we will never totally know who we really are until we reach that higher side of life, that extra amazing knowledge that is waiting for us there to help us to grow. And so, my friends, I would say people like Swedenborg, Andrew Jackson Davis, Edgar Casey, what a man as well, who in an altered state of consciousness could diagnose a patient, could tell them what medication to use that would cure them, when doctors had told them there was little or no hope for them at all. What a man. You see, the trust in those who choose to work with us from the world of spirit. My friends, it's no use if we don't trust them from the world of spirit. Those guides, those helpers who put themselves forward to blend their energy with ours so we can give the knowledge forward to the congregations in our churches and centres. Wonderful people. We had in our Spiritualist National Union in the Great Britain, we had a gentleman called Gordon Higginson. He was president of the union for over 20 years. And what they would do, he was what we call a physical medium. And they would tie him to a chair, fasten him to a chair, his arms, his legs, so he couldn't move. When he would go into that altered state of consciousness, very deep, they would on occasion stick needles in his arms and legs to make sure he wasn't faking it. And you see, my friend, he would be strip searched before he came into the room. And then when he went into that deep state of consciousness, deep trance we call it in Britain, ectoplasm used to come from the orifices and build up and flop onto the floor. And in that ectoplasm would build a spirit person as solid as you and I. And they would walk around and talk to people in the congregation, hug some of them if they knew them. And then when they were finished, they would come back to the medium and disappear into the ectoplasm just like that. The power of the Spirit, my friend. There is nothing that the Spirit cannot do, that great power. We are the only ones that limit ourselves. Everyone here in the congregation has got that gift of mediumship, if you wish to use it. You all have the gift of healing, if you wish to take it further and use it. What happens when your little granddaughter falls, grazes her knee, what is the first thing you do? Kiss it better. Is that not a form of healing, my friends? Everything is a form of healing. And so we must never think that only the people that stand up on the platform have a gift. You all have a gift, each and every one of you. We choose to take that gift a little further and blend with those from the world of spirits who choose to work with us. And I have to say, they choose to work with us, to blend their energy with ours. And so, my friend, it's up to us if we use that power or we don't. But even if we never ever stand on the platform, we can use the power that lies within each and every one of you to make this world a better place to live in. When you look at the problems around our world today, and it is the lack of belief in anything, look at the state of our world when men and women are killing each other, killing animals. They're using this world like a dumping ground instead of understanding how precious this world is, how precious the total universe is, for they're taking away the energy that keeps this world alive. And so we should be positive in standing up for what we believe in. When somebody asks you what religion do you believe in, do you say I'm a spiritualist? Or do you say, oh, no, I'm a Christian, or I'm this or the other? I know we have it at home when you go into hospitals and they ask your religion. I've heard spiritualists say, oh, I'm Church of England, I'm a Christian. Why? Why would we do that? Why are we not proud to be spiritualists, my friend? We should let the world know we're spiritualists, not keep it to ourselves. We should be working, if things were right, in other people's churches, other religions, giving our point of view, listening to their point of view, because all paths lead to that one creative power that we call God. Spiritualists don't have all the answers, my friends. We don't pretend to. But we have a knowledge that we can gain from those in the world of spirit, second to none. Second to none. That we can touch the hearts and the minds of other people we come into contact with, and maybe change their minds. Let me just give you a quick example. My brother took the service for a lady who was a spiritualist in our church, but she became the mayor of Bournemouth. Yes.
Oh, I have my news.
He hasn't. It's like a ventriloquist, you know what I'm saying? Except he doesn't have the hand. But he was the mayor of Bournemouth's pastor. And we had to take the first service in the Church of England, the High Church in Bournemouth. Well, when we went in for the rehearsal, they didn't know whether to cross themselves, bow to us, or what to do. It was funny because they'd never had spiritualists taking a service in the Church of England. Now, I have to say, the second service was in our church. And we invited the canon of the Christian church to take part in our service, as we ran the service in the Christian church. But his bishop wouldn't allow him, but he did let him come to the service. Now, we had a wonderful medium and speaker on that day, and after the service, the canon said to us, "Where did you find that amazing lady?" Oh, I said, "She comes to us every year from Scotland." He said, "I didn't know you had knowledge like that in spiritualism." So my brother said to him, "Well, Jim, that's probably because you've never been through the doors of a spiritualist church." He said, "You are right. You are right." He said, "The only thing that I'm surprised at, you people talk to the dead." Really? So we said, "I don't think so." we communicate with the living spirit of the person who has moved on to that next level of consciousness. So Al said to him, "Can I ask you, Canon Jim, do you speak to Jesus?" "Oh, all the time," he said, "all the time." So Al said, "Are you speaking to the dead?" "No, you're communicating with the living spirit of Jesus or the saints or whoever they may be." He said, "I never thought of it that way. I've learned something today." So you see, my friends, we have something to give to other religions as well as we can also learn from them. So when we ask ourselves, who are you really? Are we the type of person that we can speak to others, try to give them the teachings that we learn from those on the higher side of life? Or are we the type that just says, "No, I'll keep it to myself. That's good enough for me"? I hope you're the other one. Thank you for listening.